Hey, Danielle.
Hey, what's up?
What are you doing in September?
You know, I got a lot of stuff going on in September, but you want to know what I'm looking forward to the most?
What's that?
Seeing all y'all at the Midwest Arts Expo, aka Max Conference.
Yeah, I can't wait. With the podcast, we're going to be there, except for Daddy.
We don't call him that.
I do.
We might put his head on a Chewbacca. Oh, and then let people take pictures with it in the booth. I was supposed to finish the rest of the thought, because then it makes sense.
I think his head on a Chewbacca is the perfect presence at Max for Brian.
So you could come to our booth and take a picture with Brian Baca, as well as record a podcast with us.
So come and see us in booth 512 at Max in Indianapolis. We'll see you there.
We'll also be in all the other things, too, like places. We'll be in the expo hall and some professional development stuff. We'll be at the showcases. We'll be in and around.
And at the bar.
Maybe at the bar. Maybe you'll see us.
Bye.
Hello and welcome to There's No Business Like, a podcast where friends and industry colleagues explore topics and interview leaders in our industry of professional theatrical touring.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to There's No Business Like. We are glad to have you all with us today. I am here in the studio with my friends Josh.
Hey, Josh Benson, rocking it from Marion, Illinois at the Marion Cultural and Civic Center.
And Kevin.
Kevin Maynard, Quad City Arts, splitting the border between Iowa and Illinois.
Well, hello there, Brian.
Brian Zelmer, KU Presents in Kutztown, Pennsylvania.
Hey, Danielle.
Hi, it's Danielle Van Hook from the Alton in McLean, Virginia.
And I am Katie Miller with Michigan Maven Creative Associates. So we are going to play a game today. Yay. Who's excited?
I think I am. I think I'm ready.
I'm taking a leaf out of Danielle's book today, and we are going to play a game to introduce our episode today. So each one of you is going to get a round where you have to choose a favorite of a pairing that I give to you. Are we ready?
Let's do this.
Brian, you go first. Okay, so Brian, you get famous Joshes. One or the other. Josh Hartnett or Joshua Jackson.
Can I Google them? Because I don't recognize either name.
I knew this was going to happen.
So we'll go with Josh Hartness.
All right, so Josh Gad versus Josh Peck.
Gad.
Okay. Josh Benson versus Josh Groban.
Oh, that's a really hard one. Since he's not listening, I'll go with Josh Groban.
Excellent. Okay.
Okay, so was it me or Josh Groban?
Groban.
You
Thank you, Brian, for playing. Now, Josh, you get famous Katie's or Catherine's. Are you ready?
Probably not, but yes, let's go.
Here we go. Katie Couric versus Katy Perry.
Katy Perry.
Katharine Hepburn versus Catherine O'Hara.
Ooh, Hepburn.
That's a hard
Okay.
one.
And in a Michigan face-off, me, Katie Miller, versus Broadway actress Katie Travis.
Katie Travis.
All right. And Josh picks Katie Travis. All right, Kevin, you get famous Jimmy's. Are you ready?
Ooh, I'm in.
Okay, here we go. Jimmy Fallon versus Jimmy Kimmel.
Kimmel.
Okay. Jimmy Johns versus Jimmy Buffett.
Jimmy Buffett.
Okay. Jimmy Carter versus the Jimmy Awards.
The Jimmy Awards.
Okay. Very good. Very good. And Danielle, last but not least, you get famous Gretchens. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Gretchen Carlson versus Gretchen Wilson.
Gretchen Wilson.
Country singer Gretchen Wilson.
Yes. I chose that one.
Okay. Gretchen Whitmer versus Gretchen Wieners.
No, this is too hard. I knew this is where this was going. Whitmer.
Actually, because there aren't that many famous Gretchens, you're going to have to read the last one off of this slip of paper that I'm holding up. Are you ready?
Oh my gosh, it's Gretchen Shope.
That's right. Oh, thank you, Danielle. So if you are a real theater nerd, today's guest, Gretchen Shope, is likely already on your famous Gretchens list. If she's not, I guarantee after listening to today's conversation, you won't forget her and will be very excited to one day see her name in lights on Broadway. I'm just going to leave it there. And once you hear my chat with Gretchen, you'll understand our little game here today. So enjoy my conversation with Gretchen Shope.
Hi, my name is Gretchen Shope, and I am the Best Actress winner of the 2024 Jimmy Awards. And I'm so excited to be here today.
Gretchen, it's so wonderful to have you. Thank you so much for being on There's No Business Like. I am so excited to talk to you because we actually know each other. You're from my hometown. Like, it's so exciting to see one of our students here in the Midland area win such a prestigious award. So first of all, congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much.
So I know it's been a little bit of a whirlwind for you and that whole
Definitely. Definitely.
experience and then winning and then all the press and everything afterwards. But let's take a step back and just talk about you for a second. So how did you fall in love with the arts? How did you get to the moment where you are competing in New York City in the Jimmy Awards?
Yeah, so this was kind of an unexpected pathway for me. Obviously, Katie and I know each other because we both live in Midland, Michigan, but I've been born and raised here, been here my entire life, did a lot of community theater at Midland Center for the Arts. I grew up in a community that cherished the arts and especially put an emphasis on arts education. So I really think that's where I was privileged enough to become so educated so early on in what I love to do and also be supported in what I love to do because not everyone gets that opportunity. What led me to the Jimmy Awards is you have to apply as a high school to be considered for your quote unquote regional awards program. So for me, that's the Sutton Foster Awards in Michigan. And some other states like California, they have 10 regional award programs. So some places have a lot of opportunities, but if you live in a state like Michigan, you only have one. So we have hundreds of kids compete each year and it's a really competitive program to get through. So it's actually my second year competing and I was just lucky enough to get through the rounds this year, but I really think it's because of my arts education from my hometown and taking voice lessons and piano lessons and acting lessons from the people here that are so knowledgeable.
Let's talk a little bit about arts education a little bit further. So you went to H.H. Dow High School.
Yes, I did.
They have wonderful choir and theater programs as well.
Oh yes, I'm a dedicated choir kid.
In terms of education and training, what did it mean to you or what sort of opportunities do you feel like you had? Like you mentioned, having a community that really cherishes the arts from both a school side as well as a community side.
I am lucky enough to live in a community that puts a lot of funding into arts education, whereas a lot of places will tend to prioritize the sports aspect or the academic aspect. Not that those don't matter to our school, but H.H. Dow High School does a really great job of putting their eggs in even baskets so every kid gets that opportunity. We take it as a holistic experience for everyone because the arts are not just for performers. So I'm really grateful to live in a community and go to a school that prioritizes every single aspect of that and has it as a holistic experience. I feel like growing up in the Center for the Arts and growing up in Midland, it's kind of our big thing. We kind of have little celebrities in our town who have always starred in the big shows. And as a kid, I always looked up to them. But it's the best thing living in a town that does community theater. For instance, having Little Women at the Center for the Arts or Next to Normal, because we bring in people like stage combat workers and intimacy workers because we're really dedicated to this idea of community theater is important, right? It's not just for the aspect of entertaining people, quote unquote, but also for building up relationships and creating a together experience within our town.
That philosophy actually extends to our whole region because there's 3 kind of major community theaters in our region,
100%.
plus a bunch of really cool independent ensembles and groups that have popped up in the last few years to even expand that scene even more.
Yes.
So at least in the time I've lived in Midland, it feels like the opportunities have just grown exponentially in our community.
Definitely. And also I worked as a voice teacher for the past 2 years, and even just seeing my students go into the community and look at the opportunities, there's even more than when I was a kid. And I'll have talks with them every fall and spring, kind of when the shows pop up, because there's so many opportunities that we have to prioritize which one, quote unquote, matters the most to them, which is a crazy idea. Even as a kid, it was kind of one show, and I'm very grateful to have that show, but now it's even expanded.
I think that just speaks to the importance of investing, like you said, funding wise, time wise, but also passion wise, and having role models.
These are the best people that I have ever met. And for instance, my acting coach who runs Creative 360, Laura Brigham, is not only is she so talented and it's a blessing to have her in this town just so I can pick her brain. She's a library of a human. But also, like, it's really important to make those connections because the people in this town that prioritize theater also prioritize kindness and empathy. So I think having those relationships and those mentorships taught me how to be like a good person as well.
That's the power of the arts right there.
Oh, yeah.
So let's dive a little bit into your experience with the Jimmy Awards. So this is your second year competing.
Yes.
So you have a lot of experience with this whole process. So the Jimmys are the National High School Musical Theater Awards, otherwise known as the Jimmys, and they were established in 2009. So this year was the 15th year of the Jimmys. So walk me through kind of from the application and first audition process all the way through getting to New York, and then we'll dig into the New York experience.
Yeah. So when people say it's like the Tony Awards for high schoolers, I would agree with that on like a certain level, because yes, there is that competition aspect and you get a lot of like opportunities from attending and being nominated, but it is, like you said, it is like a training ground. Like it is, I feel like it's always like compared to like the Hunger Games for theater kids. It's definitely not that intense. And like, we all are great friends, but it kind of feels like that. You're just like training for this big moment. My first year competing, I went as the baker's wife, and I went to my regional awards program called the Sutton Foster Awards at Wharton Center. I was not a finalist. I didn't even place, but a friend of mine, Jillian, won, and she was fabulous, and she went out to the Jimmy Awards. And so I kept in touch with her. And this year I was like, okay, I really want to win. I feel like this could be my opportunity to at least like be a finalist in the Sutton Foster Awards, which, like, thinking back now, it's like crazy that was my goal, was to be a finalist in the Sutton Foster Awards. So I talked to Jillian, and we kind of like made a strategy of like, okay, they want to hear a ballad, you know, the judges, like, we kind of adjusted my original path to like, all right, this year I'm not just going for fun and for training. Like, I really like want to have a shot at winning. So I chose the music that makes me dance, because it's this very beautiful ballad, and it shows off like the best parts of my range that I consider like really strong for myself. And I ended up winning, which is like still crazy to me. Like, sometimes I wake up, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to compete for the Jimmy Awards. And I'm like, wait a minute.
You won the Jimmy Awards. It's done. You've done it.
I did it. It's okay. I don't have to stress out about it anymore. So yeah, after winning the Sutton Foster Awards, I basically had 2 weeks kind of to prepare. And it was actually the most hectic 24 hours after winning Sutton Foster Awards I'd ever experienced, because, fun fact, the Sutton Foster Awards happened on the last legal day that you could have a regional awards program. So that meant that other people had, like, for instance, like Arizona, they had like 2 to 3 weeks to choose all of their repertoire, to choose, like, to figure out like their plan for getting to New York, their flight plans, their stay, travel, all of that jazz.
Wow.
Braden and I had 10 hours.
Holy cow.
Yes. So we had to choose like 4 songs that we had options to do. We had to get all of our sheet music, all of our headshots. Like, it was, I didn't sleep that night.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, it was very stressful, but we did it. We got through it. We went to the Jimmy Awards. I actually stayed a little bit early with my voice teacher, just like for fun. And it was like one of the best 3 days of my life.
Okay. Shout out to Katie Travis, by
Yes,
the way.
oh
Can
my
you talk
gosh.
about Katie for just a second?
Oh my gosh. So I've been working with her. I actually met her through the Center for the Arts through a weird masterclass during COVID that was kind of like, we don't really know what to do with all of these kids in the arts that want to do stuff, so let's just throw them on Zoom and see what happens. But I really connected with her, and now sometimes you like get like a voice coach that like kind of acts double as a therapist, and like that's kind of how she is for me. She's like the kindest human, and she like helps guide me through life, and like I would trust her with any issue I had. She's so intelligent and amazing, and my love goes out to her.
And she's been on Broadway herself and done Broadway national touring. So in terms of having a guide through this whole process, like, you can't, like, Katie's the best. She's a personal friend of mine too, and I absolutely adore her.
She is amazing. And I stayed with her and her husband, David, who's a great Broadway director, and their adorable dog, Daisy. It was amazing. So then we went to Juilliard. I stayed for 10 days, did multiple rounds of auditioning, cried myself to sleep maybe like 3 nights. It was so fun, and like action packed, but like it's really stressful to live in a highly competitive environment 24/7.
So when you say 3 rounds of auditioning, what does that mean exactly? Was that to do your the character medleys?
Yeah, so this is actually, we were kind of a guinea pig year, so it's never been like this before. We had an extra 3 days to the Jimmy Awards that did not exist prior to 2024. So what happens is the first 3 days, you coach your audition songs, you coach your chosen song and your character song that you choose. And they bring in Broadway professionals. So for instance, my voice coach was EJ Zimmerman, who is a fabulous singer. She was a replacement for Eponine in Les Mis on Broadway. She's super cool. And then you go and audition. And after that first audition round, after the 3 days, you get placed in either the character medley or the feature group. And only 40 people get chosen out of 102 for the character medley. And those are the only people eligible to be finalists. So it's kind of like this big cut happens in the first 3 days.
Wow. It's a huge cut.
Yeah. It was so stressful. And I remember they like, again, this is like what like makes it feel like the Hunger Games. Because they were like, get all the cameras out of the room. And like, it was so serious. They like had to sit down. They were like, get the cameras out, cut the cameras. We need to be alone. And we were all like, what's going on? What's going on? And they were like, sit on your phone so you can't look at them. And they were like, in a few minutes, you're going to get a notification on whether you're in the character medley or not. If you have a need to have a strong emotional reaction, please go to a safe space. Because they were like, we don't want, like, it was so serious. And like, I get it, because it's like the first big cut, and it's really hard if you're not chosen. And like, you want to be respectful of people who are sad, but also like, when I got the notification after I was allowed to get my phone out, I was like, ah! I was like silently screaming. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna excuse myself. So I went in the elevator, and there was this guy named Lance who was in my character medley actually. And we both just looked at each other and were like, hey. He was like, hey. And he was like, did you get in? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, what medley? And I was like, character medley 4. And he was like, oh my God, me too. And we just like attacked each other in the elevator and like screamed at the top of our lungs. And then the minute the elevator opened, we were like, cool, chill.
As you do.
Yes. And then the people in the character medley do another round of auditioning, which is just you perform the character medley for the judges, and then you come in one by one and do your solo song. And that's actually how they choose the finalists.
So it's not the performance on stage that is determining your finalist status or not. It's in this audition room.
It's in this audition room. Yeah, the character medleys at the actual show, they're for performative aspects. They don't actually contribute to your score.
Got it.
When they say like the finalists don't know that they're finalists, like that is 100% true. I had no idea. You don't get to practice your song. You just kind of hope that the pianist knows what's going on. And fun fact, actually, I haven't said yet openly, but my music was wrong.
What?
Yes. You could watch the video. There's a section of the song at the beginning that was in my sheet music. And it's like, I add 2 and 2, the most simple addition. And it's like a recitative at the beginning of the song. And I wanted to do that. And if you watch other Jimmy performances that do that song, that they have it. But for some reason, my music was cut incorrectly without my knowledge. So they just started playing at the chorus. I was like, oh, well, guess we're not doing that.
Oh, wow. What a moment to have to adjust on the fly on stage in front of like a massive theater of people. And it was live streaming on YouTube and like and other platforms too. Like we were watching, and I know you know this, but for our listeners, like we had a watch party at Creative 360 here in Midland, and we had it up on the big screen, and the space was full of people. And like we're all literally sitting there like biting our nails for your character medley. We go to intermission. We're like watching Josh Groban ham it up on stage. He did a fabulous job posting, by the way. And then like when they announce the finalists, like the place went bananas.
I got videos afterwards. It was so fun.
And watching all the comments scrolling on YouTube, Gretchen, like amazing and fabulous. What was going through your head in that moment of like, oh, no, my music is wrong. Like that is not what I practiced.
I really wasn't expecting to be a finalist. So some of you may know I was the last one called.
Yes, you were, which is also nerve-wracking for all of us here at home.
I was sitting there, my eyes are closed, and I was like, you know what? You were worthy no matter what, and it's going to be okay. And, you know, this isn't the end of your career, and there's still opportunities after this. And they were like, from the Sutton Foster Wars. I was like, oh my God, this is a roller coaster of a night. But then I had to wait for 7 songs. So I was backstage, like, Josh Groban must have thought I was insane because I was like doing push-ups. I was like running laps. I was doing anything in my power to like not focus on what was going on.
Uh-huh.
And then when I got on stage and they started playing the music not from where I anticipated, I didn't panic. I was just like, oh, that's weird, but okay. Like, and I'm really grateful for that. And honestly, I'm really grateful for like my music theory training, because someone that maybe doesn't know piano might not have known where to start and what was going on. So it makes me really grateful that I had the knowledge to be like, oh, that's a different chord progression. I know exactly where I am, which is why preparation is really important. And I don't think I would have been able to keep my cool if I hadn't been obsessively singing that song for the past 3 months.
Thinking that this is like something you want to do, you need all of the tools to do that.
Taking piano lessons has been like one of the most beneficial things of my life. The first few days of the Jimmy Awards, where we were learning the opening medley or the opening number, I was called sight reading alto girl because no one knew each other's names, but people knew who I was because I was the only alto who could sight read the line correctly. So they called me sight reading alto girl until they learned my name.
So you finish the song, take that breath, applause, applause, applause. What happens after that? Well,
then I walk past Josh Groban and he gives me a nod, and I was like, oh my God, Josh Groban nodded at me, and that's like all I could think about for the next 20 minutes. But then all of the finalists are led down into this like little dark room, and they put us on this. It was so dramatic. Like thinking back, I'm like, this was so dramatic, but like in the best way possible. They put us on this like rising elevator, and I'm in like these most painful heels, so I'm like squatting right before they like put us up, and I'm like, please just get up on stage so I don't have to stand on these heels any longer. They're so painful. But anyways, they're like, okay, you're gonna go up. The elevator's gonna go up, and there's gonna be beautiful lights, and there's gonna be fog, and it's gonna be like, again, like the Hunger Games. And they announced Damson first, and I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. I remember like a phone call I had during the Jimmy's week with my mom, where I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna win, but I think there's a world. I think there's a world where I could win. And I was just sitting there like, oh my God, that world came true. Like, it actually happened. That's crazy. And sometimes I'll still think about that, where I'm like, I won. And like, it can't like come out of my mouth properly, because I'm like, I can't fathom it. I mean, my speech, you can see I'm like hyperventilating. I was with my mom the other day, and she was like, I wish Damson would have helped you, because you looked like you were about to faint.
So there's 51 regional programs across the country, and there's 51 female contestants and then 51 male contestants. So 102 total nominees that move on to the New York program. So you're the female winner, obviously. Tell, like, what is that like to then have like a co-winner to like share this award with?
Well, first of all, kudos to Damson, because he's like the sweetest guy I have ever met. And he was actually in my coaching group of the finalists. So we both worked under Adam Cantor. And there's this iconic moment, his performance, where he takes off his glasses and everyone like gasps. I was in that room when they were figuring that out, like, because he was like, do I wear my glasses? Do I not wear my glasses? I'll take them off and it'll be dramatic. And it was like so cool to experience that, like looking back. But also like his story and how inspiring he has been to other people has been amazing, just to like witness and like know, oh my gosh, like I know this guy who's like changing lives out there and helping other performers and breaking stereotypes and breaking bounds. Like, that's what an honor it is to share that stage with him.
And you guys have done like the press tours. So you were on Good Morning America together and, you know, doing all of that sort of thing. So it must be nice to have somebody to like share this experience with.
Oh, definitely. Like the first few days afterwards, when like everyone's talking about you, but you don't really get a lot of say in how people are talking about you. It was nice to have someone that's like, who knows what you're going through and can empathize with your position more than the general public can.
Can I ask a little bit more about that? Like, what was that experience like then to have, like you said, people talking about you?
It's so weird when people are like, I want to be you when I'm grown up, because like I spend all day like talking about how like itchy my eczema is, you know, like it's weird that that like I'm considered in that realm now. But the first few days after were really hard, because I would say there was an overwhelming amount of support, especially from the state of Michigan, because I'm the first person from Michigan to win, especially my hometown. I was getting so much love. But ultimately, like, it's a lot easier to put more weight on the negative comments. And I think also, like, as a woman in this industry, it's a lot easier to criticize female actresses. So I kind of got a bulk of a lot of that. It was hard, and it's hard to, like, read comments that are like, her dress is boring. And you're like, why did you have to say that?
I thought your dress was fabulous, by the way,
Thank you.
so don't listen to that person.
But, like, it's hard to, like, not give weight to those people. But eventually I actually talked to the winner from last year, Lauren, and I was like, hey, like, did you experience this? Like, how did you cope with that? She was really helpful with, like, girl, you just got to delete it. You, like, just can't look at it. And I did. And now I'm great. So it was definitely a learning experience and a curb to go over. But I'm really glad that I was able to figure out so quickly how to take care of myself and prioritize my mental health through this.
That experience now, as tough as it was, I feel like is only going to set you up for success in the future. That comes with a lot of rejection. And that's a struggle, right? Because you're auditioning, you're performing, you're, putting yourself out there in so many different ways. And it's not necessarily something that we would experience in Midland in that way.
Definitely. And it's really easy to grow up in a small pond and be the big fish. But now I was kind of thrown into this world of a huge pond kind of 4 years earlier than I expected to be. So it was definitely, like, hard to adjust. Because again, like, I'm having these conversations about, like, union workers and, what auditions are you going to take and agents. And I was like, I was expecting to be worried about my dorm decoration right now, not about that. So it was weird to be thrown into that a little earlier than anticipated.
So what are your plans for the next year or so?
I'm attending Wright State University in Dayton, Ohio. A lot of people are like, why is she going to Wright State? Why is she not going to, like, NYU or, Carnegie Mellon? And it's like, because I feel at home there and it feels really right for me. And I think I'm going to be able to get my best education from there. So I'm going to stick with that plan as of now. But I will be auditioning. The College of Liberal Arts at Wright State is very flexible and willing to ship me out to New York pretty often. So I did sign with Nicolosi & Co. just this past week.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm so excited, and they're just such a lovely team. So I will be auditioning for as many things as possible and then do as much school as I possibly can. The trajectory of, like, when I will finish is dependent on if I get a job or if I have to take a semester off to do a program or something like that. I am getting a major in musical theater, and I'm now doing a certificate program in arts management. So I still get what I wanted from it.
Obviously, musical theater, why arts management? Not a lot of students coming straight out of high school, going into undergrad, or even thinking about that, that sort of double or, other skill sets other than just their main focus.
Something I really learned from my voice teacher, Katie Travis, is that no matter how famous or successful you are in musical theater, it is so important to have multiple forms of income. Again, this industry is so unstable, and you never know if one day you're going to be popular, the next day, you're not. And you never know where the wind is going to blow. It's having that stability, but also I genuinely love uplifting other people, which is why I was a teacher for so long. I had 17 students. I was a high schooler, and I was doing shows and doing an IB diploma, and I put myself through that for a reason. And while I love being on the performer side of the table, I also think that my gifts as, like, an academic and as, like, a leader are well put on both sides of the table. I'm helping a program right now at Wharton Center called Take It From the Top. And we have programs at Wharton Center, Fisher Theater, and in Traverse City. And I'm lucky enough to be the performance aspect of that, but it's been great to collaborate with the people who are actually helping the outreach and getting the advertising out there and marketing this. And also, like, just the organization process of what Broadway stars to bring in and how do we get 200 kids on this stage right here and deal with, car parking and how the parents are dropping them off. Like, all of those aspects are really fun for me, even just to watch and know that all of those little tiny details that are kind of looked over are making a huge impact on these kids' lives.
So how did that opportunity even come to you, and how did you know to say yes to it?
I was sitting in the LaGuardia airport with my chaperone, Ben English, who runs Sutton Foster Awards. The program is supposed to be about letting kids in Michigan know that, like, you can get education and you can become a star no matter where you are. He was like, why don't you, like, come sing for them so that, like, they can see, like, this program actually works. I knew it was a moment where I had to say yes. It's because I've gotten so many Instagram DMs and text messages and even, like, letters from, like, 10 to 13-year-olds all over the country being like, I am not from New York, I'm not from LA, but like seeing that you're from a random town in the middle of the Midwest and knowing that like you took the best from what you were given and made it into something beautiful. And like, I feel like I can actually have the dedication and motivation to pursue my career because I watched you do that. The ability to have that impact and the ability to have that power for good to create a generation of people who are passionate about the arts and who want to help support, that is something I would never give up.
I love that. As wonderful and inspiring as that is, does that add a lot of weight to what you're embarking on now?
Not necessarily, because I feel like I've been doing that goal for so long now, being a teacher and like having my students and going to support their stuff. Like everything I did, even just like now last week performing in Sweeney Todd, it was like, oh my gosh, my 13-year-old student's coming to see the show. I have to make it. Like, it's not for the sake of I want the fame or I want the applause. It's like, oh, this kid needs to know that like they're working with someone who can inspire them and they're working with someone who like can help them become better. And that's always been my internal motivation. So it's not scary to me to have it just be on a larger level now. Oh,
by the way, you like won the Jimmy Awards and then immediately went into rehearsals for Sweeney Todd. When do you sleep, Gretchen, is actually my next question.
Never.
I mean, in all seriousness, I'm sitting here, you know, we're talking, I'm going like balance, right? Like it seems like you have a really good balance. And I don't think that I had that balance as an 18-year-old. I was like equally busy. I was doing youth philanthropy and I was doing theater and I was working and I was, you know, choreographing musicals at other high schools when I was a senior and doing all of these things. But I don't know that, and taking dance classes and like all that stuff. I don't know that I necessarily had that balance that it appears that you have. So how do you keep all of those things in line, at prioritizing your mental health, performing, teaching, regular school? Like up until a few months ago, you had homework every single night. So what has that journey been like for you in finding balance and prioritizing all of the different things that you've been involved in up until this point?
Yeah, so I didn't really get a good grasp on it until this year. And it was the ability to let myself say no and how I navigate that, because that's a hard thing to do. How I navigate that is I have my 5 core values as a person. And those could be, you know, different for each person. And they can also shift. Like at some point it might be for people like financial stability. And at other points it might be like, you know, making a social impact or something like that. Whatever that priority is in that moment based on your surroundings and environment, you make choices that align with that belief. Like this is me on my soapbox, but like, and if something doesn't align with those core values, even if it seems like a great opportunity, if it's not going to be beneficial for you in that moment, then it's not worth it. And it's not worth it to put yourself under that stress and take away motivation and momentum to your main goal in that moment. It's self-sabotaging, even though it seems like a good opportunity or fun idea.
Wow. That is very wise. Where did that sort of like really sense of self and sense of focus come from?
It came from years of saying yes to things, and, you know, that really hurt me. And I have to learn, like, yeah, there are consequences to saying no. Of course, there are consequences to revoking consent. There are consequences to that. But sometimes in order for self-preservation and to keep yourself a good and healthy person, it's worth it. And it's never worth it to sacrifice your well-being or your personhood for the sake of other people or for the sake of a career opportunity, because then you're not able to give your best self to that career. You're not able to give your best self to those people. And that's not fair to them either.
I think that's something that adults need to hear as well, because a lot of us get so caught up in the day to day because we have so many responsibilities. I'm really hopeful, actually, like hearing you talk about this. Like we have seen a shift in the industry since the pandemic. And I think we're still working through it as arts professionals about centering mental health, well-being, balance, giving each other grace, lessening our expectations in terms of like just I don't want to say lessening expectations, but broadening how we get the work done, right?
100%. And art never, you know, your personhood and your value as a human should never be sacrificed for the sake of art, right? Those things can be those things should be hand in hand.
What's your favorite musical?
My favorite musical of all time is Cabaret.
Why? Tell me why.
Oh my, why? Okay, I've actually written like essays about this. So I would say like the first and foremost reason is because it is a musical that inspires reflection and change within the audience. And that is what musical theater is to me. Like, it's always fun to see like a fun, spectacle show. But I think the real power of theater and the real power of art is when it inspires reflection and conversation in an audience. And that's what Cabaret embodies for me.
I agree with you. And I think that is the power of theater and why we do the things that we do. I want to take you back. So I know you listen to the pod sometimes, so you might have been expecting this. But I have a time machine and you and I are going to hop in their time machine. And I want to take you back to when you first competed in the Sutton Foster Awards. So this would be last year. What do you know now that you wish you had known then?
To do what I do best, whether or not I think judges or the people critical of me want to see it. Because I did a comedy song because I thought they wanted to see comedy from my actor type. And I was like, this year I was like, but that's not what I do best. Like, even though I thought that's what they wanted to see, like, I didn't win because that's not who I am. And I have to show them the unapologetic me, whether or not they want to see it.
Can I ask what, when you say actor type, like what exactly do you mean by that?
Yeah. So like being like a not thin actress is you get stuck in the best friend type, or you get stuck in the mom type or the funny type. And while those roles are definitely, they have value to them, that's not what I personally do best. I'm good at that. I'm good at serious acting. I'm good at that emotional acting. That is how I move other people. And it's good to know your type and to try to master those skills because those are the roles you will get. But also, like, what you do best is what you do best, and no one can take that away from you.
Preach. That's amazing. Thinking through everything you've just gone through, looking forward to the horizon, your time at Wright State, signing with an agency, going to New York. What are you looking forward to most about maybe the next 6 to 12 months?
What I'm looking forward to most is defying my own expectations. It's really fun to like surprise other people's, but when I surprise myself or be like, I didn't know I could do that, that's the most empowering thing, because then you open up a door of opportunities that always existed for you, but maybe you didn't allow yourself to have access to.
Well, that's a perfect note to end on. Gretchen, thank you so much for spending this time with me. If you can't tell, I am so proud of you.
Oh, thank you. It's been so lovely to talk about this long form. I love it.
We are so excited for this moment for you and for whatever comes next. And Midland is always going to have your back. I think you know that, but we're all so proud of you and so excited for you. And congratulations on this huge win and your very promising future moving forward.
Thank you so much. It's always a lovely moment and a pleasure to talk to you. So thank you for having me.
What's up, Brian?
I don't know. What's up, Danielle?
In 4 days, we're going to be What's Up.
What are you talking about, Danielle?
I'm talking about how we are going to be at the Western Arts Alliance Conference in 4 days. And I am packed. I still have so much to do. What are we going to do?
Well, you don't have to worry. We just need hats and flats. That's easy. Just grab them, throw them in your suitcase, and let's go.
That's it?
Hats and flats.
Hats and flats.
I'm
Josh.
allergic. This isn't going to work out.
Wait, you mean I don't have to bring heels to this conference? What?
No heels.
No heels.
None.
No.
And no
Oh,
cats.
No
gosh.
heels.
I think I am going to love being at a conference in San Diego, California, where it's consistently 70 degrees all the time. And I hear its nickname is the finest city in America.
It is. It's also the craft beer capital of America.
Wait, what?
And also note it's flats and not sneakers because we're all going to be in one resort.
That's amazing. I absolutely cannot wait to see you all at the Western Arts Alliance Conference, August 26th to the 29th. The whole podcast team is going to be there. We're going to be doing lots of fun stuff, recording interviews, talking with PD guests, doing some social media takeovers. So we cannot wait to see you all there.
I'm still going to be in sneakers.
Katie, thank you so much for introducing Gretchen to us. I don't follow the Jimmy Awards, but I think it's a really cool program. And I also will just tell the listeners that you shared a link or 2 links with us so we could see her performances. And I was just blown away. I thought it was great. And I'm going to refer to her from now on as Katniss, though.
My first takeaway from this was like, I too am also very proud of Gretchen, and I do not know her.
She's a really incredible young woman, right? Like as we were chatting, I just could not get over how thoughtful and how mature and how put together she is and how prepared she is, right? And it's no wonder that she has really found so much success.
Well, I love that she was confident enough in herself to go against what she felt was the standard for her body type and to do what was really within her strength and what was really going to make her successful, and to be cognizant of what her strengths were and how she can move forward with her strengths to succeed here.
She's wise beyond her years. The awesome part is she's just starting. Like her life is still all ahead of her. So I just can't wait to follow her career and just see the amazing places she goes.
Yeah, wise beyond her years is a really great way to phrase that, Brian, because I was just impressed that at such a young age, she did what we talk to so many people about doing, is reaching out to your colleagues and reaching out to those who have sort of gone before you to navigate that. And she reached out to a previous winner in the state of Michigan to, find out like what the judges are looking for, or what could help her, get to the next level, or, what could help her become a finalist. And so I think that that's really an incredible thing to learn at such a young age. And so hopefully she takes that forward with her to, reach out to folks.
Taking it back to the beginning of this episode, after hearing her process and how participating went for her, just the DNA of the incredible arts education opportunities that she had growing up in Midland. I mean, it's all over the success, and talking about being prepared in every aspect, like being able to have access to like really quality voice lessons and piano lessons and different opportunities to be on stage, and to have a knowledge of what like your perceived acting type is, and then also know that that's not you. At that stage in high school, like I didn't know any of this, but all of those lessons that she's just grown up around, being able to grow up around so many arts professionals and professional arts programming. I mean, you can see the payoff of it, and it is at 18.
And she didn't even mention some of the other educators that she's worked with here that I just want to give shout outs to. So Erin Whitfield is another voice coach that she's worked with who is wonderful. Adam Gardner-Northrup, Gina Kearley, lots of folks at the Center for the Arts and our other community theater spaces. I think it just speaks to Danielle to like how collective in nature training of young arts professionals needs to be, and multiple influences are really important. And having that mentorship, like you said, this is how she's also learning kindness and empathy. And I think some of that balance, how to put yourself first and how to define early on like what your values are. I think all of that comes from being surrounded by really thoughtful, passionate people. And I'm really proud that, I get to work in this community every single day and see the great work that's happening, at our schools and our community theaters and on a professional level as well.
We're talking a lot about her wisdom and maturity at such a young age. I also think about how mature and skilled her vocal abilities are. The timbre of her voice and the way she places her voice between her chest and her head, the mix, it's way ahead of what someone her age should be like. And listening to her in those links I just mentioned before that Katie shared, there were times, especially when she's like in the middle of her range, I almost got vibes of like Audra McDonald, which I mean as a compliment. It's just so rich and pure, and she's just got it. That thing, that extra thing that some people just have that you can't really teach too. So
the other thing that I really liked hearing about, whenever she won and she started seeing online criticism, she also reached out to other people to figure out how to handle that. It's ridiculous that there's negative criticism on an award like this in the first place, but just the awareness to reach out and to discuss how to handle it rather than handling it emotionally, and to be able to settle it with herself, to put herself in a safe place with that criticism being thrown out, as ridiculous as it was, that I'm just so impressed at the level-headedness to be able to do that and to handle yourself in that way. I would not have been able to do that in my 20s, let alone in high school.
I'm not confident I can do that now.
Same. I mean, the amount of times I tell myself I'm not going to open the comment section and then immediately open the comment section and they go, oh yeah, this place is terrible.
As Katie mentioned, her dress, there was nothing wrong with her dress. It was beautiful. but I do want to go in with some CGI and like add flames to it. So.
So you just like really want to go all in Hunger Games.
Well, she was like saying how it's like the Hunger Games over and over. And I, the more she described it, I'm like, it is the Hunger Games. Wow.
Yeah.
So did she have to kill 101 other people? Or
she slayed the audience.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
slayed the audience.
Woo.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really concerned for a moment. So
Let's talk a second about the actual Jimmy Awards program. Like I mentioned in the interview, this is the 15th year of the program, and there have been more than 65 Jimmy Award alumni that have gone on to either perform on Broadway or on national tours. Like that's a really incredible legacy for a program that's really not that old. I actually thought the Jimmy Awards were older than that. But when I was watching Josh Groban host and he mentioned during the awards program that it was the 15th anniversary, I was a little blown away. And the opportunity that it provides for young people, it kind of in those both of those stages, right? Not only their regional competitions, but also on a national stage is really quite something.
So the one thing that I'm personally still on the fence about is whenever they announce the finalists through a text message,
That sounds terrifying.
they're attempting to like, well, it sounds terrifying, but like they're trying to save other people who didn't get it from trauma. But at the same time, I feel like they're robbing the joy of actually celebrating yourself and your accomplishment from the people who got it. And so I'm on the fence about it.
Josh, I can totally understand that. I think in my mind, the way I viewed it is that they're taking an opportunity to teach some young adults how to sort of respond appropriately. That I think it's okay to be excited, but also when you're in that room with 100 other kids, that you're going to have some people that have worked obviously very hard for this that are going to take that really hard. And so while I think that they should be able to celebrate, I think it's trying to strike that balance of, not celebrating in a way that sort of rubs it in the faces of those that didn't make it.
I also love the elevator moment that Gretchen got to have.
I'm excited for that moment in her biopic.
That's a beautiful little story that comes from that.
And I also don't think every community has a group of arts people that would have a Jimmy's watching party. I mean, that just sounds like...
That sounded special.
Yeah. And I mean, we could hear in the interview between the two of you, like how special that was.
All right. Well, thank you, friends, so much for joining us today on There's No Business Like. I hope you just fell in love with Gretchen as much as we did. I hope that you will check out the link to her Jimmy's performance in the show notes. And I hope that you will follow her career and celebrate her success and the success of all of the Jimmy Award participants this year and in the future with us, because these students are the future of our profession, whether they are going to be arts administrators or performers or technicians or designers or whatever in the future. So congratulations to Gretchen and all of the other students that participated in the Jimmys this year. And we hope you'll join us next time on There's No Business Like.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening to There's No Business Like. Our producers and hosts are Brian Zelmer, Josh Benson, Kevin Maynard, Katie Miller, and me, Danielle Van Hook. Views expressed in this podcast are ours alone and are not reflective of the organizations we are a part of. Keep up with us at nobusinesslike.com. There you'll find links to all of our episodes and socials. If you like this podcast, give us a like, a follow, a review, or our favorite, a 5-star rating. Oh, wait, what was that site? I got it, don't worry. It is nobusinesslike.com. Do I sound out bus-I-ness every time I type it? Yep, sure do. Stay in touch, my friends.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
great.
agree with the background noise
That's
here.
me. What are we picking it for? To be ours? Like to own it?
You pick one of two things I say
it's
to
for
you.
your
like
fantasy draft.
Your favorite one. Yeah, it's sort of not, it's not a bracket thing, but it's just sort of like,
Okay.
We should do an NFL fantasy theme. I'm
That
great at
actually, that's episode 110. So just our fantasy draft.
so I'm going to say, Brian, A versus B, and you pick one of the two, your favorite of the two.
B, because
things
that's
I
my
give you.
first letter.
Okay.
Okay.
So you're each going to get 3 of these. Do we understand?
Okay.
This is
And
not
then do
that
we have to make
complicated, my
a
friends.
team after that? Are we building a
No, it's not that hard, I promise.
superhero team?
So
Got it. I'm ready.
I'm so going to win this league.
I'm starting to follow. I'm trying to figure out how the points work.
You already chose B. So
Yeah, no, B
You're up
is
next.
great.
What do we win?
There are no points. I hate to disappoint you. I will bring you a special gift from Michigan if you win. Actually, there are no winners. There's no winners in this game. What am I talking
You
about?
really backed down real quick on that
So
one.
we're
I'm gonna
all
bring you something
losers?
special. Not you losers.
Everyone's a loser.
Actually, if you win, which there's actually not a winner, but if you somehow happen to win this game, I will bring you a special gift from Michigan.
Why don't you? Katie? Why don't you just choose a winner at the end of the game, but you don't tell us what we need to do to win?
And I will be that winner. So thank you, Katie.
It's clearly
big fan.
Can't wait to get my gift.
Heart net, like it
Yeah.
sounds.
Yeah. He was
All
in
He's
The 90s.
an American actor.
Oh, he's gonna be in a M. Night Shyamalan movie, I think.
He's in a show called ABC's Cracker.
What?
That
known
can't be right.
starring such as Halloween H2O.
Josh Hartnett?
Do I have the wrong thing? Hartnett?
Okay, let me try this again.
Joshua
Brian,
Daniel Hartnett. Is that not him?
Hartnett. Yeah.
Wait, I didn't even get to Google the other one yet. So,
But you already chose him. He's B.
no, he was the
Joshua
first one.
Jackson
What
was
the first
Pacey
one?
on Dawson's
Jackson.
Creek.
See, those. I don't watch those shows.
I mean,
Joshua
Dawson's
Jackson
Creek
was
hasn't
on-
been on for decades.
No, but I didn't watch TV back then. When was Dawson's Creek? Let's look that up.
Dawson's
I've heard of it.
Dawson's was never on.
Dawson. Sorry,
In the
I
90s.
stuttered.
100%.
I know it's Dawson. Dawson's Creek was final episode was 2003. So I was in the heart of college then. So it was in the late 90s through 2003.
If you don't know who they are, just pick one. It doesn't really matter.
Okay. It doesn't matter if I know who they are.
Well, how am I going to have a powerful superhero
That's
team?
not the point.